To make setting this up simple, I downloaded a template from freehtml5.co. I downloaded this one. So I have it open over here in Visual Studio Code. I'll show you what it looks like. Go to, I have it running on localhost 8000. Okay, so you can see that it's not a bad looking website, and it does not have a dark mode. So I'm going to be adding that in. First of all, I'm going to have to add in the Dark Reader Cdn, which I'll get from Dark Reader on GitHub. Scroll down, and you'll see you can get it from here. This is fine. I'll copy this URL. Back here, I'll write Dark Reader and script source equals this CDN, and there. So now we have the Dark Reader CDN. I can test it out over here. I'll type Dark Reader. I'll say .enable. That will be the function to enable Dark Reader. You see, it looks pretty good. The only problem here is that this logo, instead of being white, it's still black, like in the light mode. So we'll have to fix that. Yeah, so let's get started by making a new file and call it dark mode toggle.js. And in here we'll make a function called toggle dark mode. In this function, we'll take a parameter called new state. Now, and we'll say if new state equals on, then we'll do dark mode dark reader dot enable, and else dark reader dot disable. We will need to include the JavaScript. I'll include the bottom. Let's see why later. Here I'll say toggle script source equals dark mode toggle.js. Okay. Run toggle dark mode and pass it on. You'll get dark mode. If you pass it off, you'll take away dark mode. Now we need to do something about the logo. So see that we can make it white by running like an invert on here. In filter invert 1. This inverted too many things. Let's say we want to get only images that are in this. There we go. So now, probably don't need all of this. This should be a good enough selector. What else? Here we have another logo, which could be white. We'll say dot footer widget image, and we can add that to the same one that we had over here. And put a comma. This. So now this 2 lines of CSS, 4 lines, it will correct the things that don't look right. So now we'll put this into our JavaScript file in a variable. Call it var dark mode modification equals. It'll create a style element, style class equals dark mode mod, and we'll put the CSS in there and an end style tag. Okay, now when we enable dark mode, document.head.insert JSON HTML before end, and pass it this style element. Okay, and then we'll need to remove it when we're done. So let's say var CSS mod equals document dot get elements by class name. Call it dark mode mod. And there's only one of them, so just take the 0th element. Now I'll say if this exists, if CSS mod, I want to remove it. In plain JavaScript, we can do this by doing CSS mod dot parent element dot remove child CSS mod. With jQuery, you can do this in a more simple way, but this will work. Dark mode modification. Save this. Try this one more time. And you see now we have the logo is white. And also over here. And if we turn off dark mode, it will be back to black. Great. Now we just need to make a toggle, a button. Let's say we'll add it over here. It doesn't really matter exactly where you add it in because we'll make it have a fixed position. Say div class equals dark mode toggle. Okay, now we need to get some icon in here. Let's say we want like a sun and a moon. We can get some free icons from css.gg. I think that their sun and moon icons look good, so I'll choose sun here, select it, look for moon, and select that. Here we go. Now we got a URL that will get us these 2 icons. Now I will put this in over here. We'll say icons, and there we have the sun and the moon. Now to use these icons, see we have this code over here. Put this in over here. I've written a short code over here that make like a round button. It's the border radius 50%. It'll have a shadow, and it'll be in the bottom left corner, 8 pixels from the bottom left. And yeah, you can copy this code. I'll put a link in the description. So we're going to create a new file, call it dark mode toggle.css. Put the code in there. We'll need to include it. So let's say, right, dark mode toggle. And of course you could just include this in your main style sheet if you wanted to, but I will keep it separate. Here we go, dark mode toggle.css. We want the rel to be style sheet. Now let's see what this looks like. Refresh the page. Let's make sure that the color is black. There we go. So we need to make sure to add that in to the CSS. Okay, so now we just need to make this button do something. We'll write over here, document. I'll get it with a query selector this time. Query selector div.dark mode toggle. We want to add an event listener for click. And then the function will leave after we write false over here. The function will be, well, we want to find out whether it's on or off right now. How can we do that? Well, we have a element over here when dark mode is on. See, on the page we have dark mode, Dark Reader. This only exists when Dark Reader is on. See if I say document dot query selector dot Dark Reader, it will be equal to this element. If I turn off Dark Reader, this will give me null. So that's a good way to tell if Dark Reader is on or not. Let's go back to the code. So we'll say if this element exists, then we will toggle dark mode off. Else we will toggle dark mode on. Now let's try this out. Click the button, we get dark mode on. Click it again, we get dark mode off. Now let's say we want to change the icon to look like a sun when we click the button. That should be simple. Just need to be able to get this element. When we enable dark mode, we'll say the first element child of this, set this, the class name to be equal to gg-sun. And when we disable it, we will set the class name to ggmoon. Now let's check what this looks like. Click the button. Now we have a sun. Click it and we get the moon. Now, you'll see if we reload the page, we always get light mode, no matter what the previous mode was. Let's say I wanted to automatically choose my past preference. We'll need to use cookies for that. So, I'm going to look up a script for setting cookies in JavaScript. W3 schools will work. We will copy the set cookie and get cookie functions. Put them over here. Okay, now when we enable dark mode, we want to do set cookie dark mode on, and the number of days we can choose a large number like 9999. And now when we disable dark mode, we'll want to set the cookie to off. And this is why we need the dark mode toggle.js to be at the bottom of the page. We want to toggle dark mode, and since this contains elements that are in the page, those have to be loaded before the script loads. So I'm going to say over here, toggle dark mode of get cookie dark mode. So now what this will do is it will get the dark mode cookie value, which will be on or off, like we set over here. And if it's on, then we'll turn on dark mode, and if it's off or it's undefined, it will be light mode, and it will be disabled. Okay, now let's try this out. Reload the page, turn this on, refresh the page, and see we're back to where we left off. It's still dark mode. Now, let's say this dark mode is not dark enough. It's a little bit grayish. We can fix that by putting a parameter into the enable function. There are options like brightness, contrast, and sepia. I'm going to do contrast 150. Default is 100. I'm going to make it extra contrast and see what this looks like. So now it's more of a black mode. And you could mess around with that to how you like it. Just look around. Test some things out, and if you notice anything that you don't like, you can add that in to your dark mode modification variable. And that's about it. We wrote almost no CSS, and we have a working dark mode. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more.